Welcome to Inside the Blueprint, where we explore the frameworks that shape change in our systems, communities, and sometimes in how we prepare for the future. Today's episode is a bit of a masterclass, one every parent and teenager should probably hear.
And I'm Claire. I don't want to just earn money one day. I want to actually understand it, how it works, what to do with it, and how not to waste it. So yes, I'm taking notes today.
How are you? Our guest is Marilyn Pinto, founder of KFI Global and a leading expert in teaching teens, adults, how to make smarter, richer, braver decisions about their money. Marilyn, welcome to Inside the Blueprint.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Before we start, if this podcast resonates with you, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it.
Every listen keeps us having these conversations across generations about things that really matter.
We are building something meaningful here, and we are glad you're part of it.
All right, let's get into it.
It's a journey that started, I was going to say having coffee, but I don't drink coffee, but having tea.
That's right, we were having tea.
And about something that we are both passionate about. Because financial education is really about talking about the future. No? It's not today. I mean, of course, decisions that you make today are important, but it's really about the future. And I remember the book that you gave me, Smarter, Richer, Braver. And I never asked you that question, but why did you think it was important to add the word brave?
Because I think being confident about your spending, being confident about your financial identity really gives you that courage to take steps in life where you wouldn't have if you didn't have that kind of financial identity. And I think of the three, if you're asking me smarter, rich, and braver, which do I think is most important? I'd say braver. I'd definitely say braver.
Not richer.
I'd definitely say braver.
Okay. What do parents have to think about when they start to engage the children on about money?
First, it's a good question because you're asking me what do they need to think about. Many of us parents, we don't think about it. So the fact that you're saying what do they think about, that itself is a really good start. The fact that parents are actually thinking about it, for me, that's a really big step. And I have seen this evolution over the last 6-7 years that I've been in this field. When I started, it wasn't a thing. I mean, people were even asking me, why are you teaching kids about money? Like, let them grow up, let them just enjoy their life. And, but now just the way you frame that question, what should parents start thinking about? It really gives me hope that people are actually thinking about this now, which is a great first step. I think what they should be thinking about is how they mold their kids' financial mindset and how they are. Because, as you know, I'm sure Claire does the same thing. I mean, you can be saying a lot of things, but what she's doing is not listening to you. She's watching you. So you might be telling her a lot of things, but it's only what you actually embody, and that's what she's going to take away. So we as parents, we can talk a big game about being careful with your money and not spending it impulsively and, and all of these rules. But kids don't listen to what we say. They listen to what they're watching what we do very closely.
And they act accordingly.
Very, very closely. So I think then the best thing that we can do as parents is model good financial behavior. That makes it, just be good models for that. And that's a great first step.
Okay. So what step are you taking? Oh, it does. What step are you taking?
Oh, no. Haven't learned anything yet.
You haven't learned anything yet? Okay.
Started the podcast. Hello. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a prepaid card with 300 dirhams on it.
Mm-hmm.
How would you suggest I use it if I want to be smart with my money?
That's a good question. And a question I get so often from teenagers. I have a debit card, or I have money and I have an allowance. How can I be smart with saving it? So what I want you to think about is actually not about the debit card at all, right? Because what you're asking me in that is like, can you give me some tips, some tricks, some hacks where I can be smarter with money? And that is a problem in itself, because when it comes to money, I can give you tips, I can give you tricks, I can give you hacks, but it's not going to take you very far, right? Because what you really need to figure out is, what are my habits? What are my triggers? What's my mindset? What's my behavior? And that is a question not many people ask. Everybody wants to know, can you give me some tips on how to save money better? Good. I mean, there are basically 4 sentences that I can tell you that everybody should know. And if you listen to these if you follow these 4 rules, you'll be fine with money, right? So, spend less than you earn, have an emergency fund, get out of debt, and start investing early. With these 4 sentences, everybody would be fine. This is not a secret. Everybody knows this. But do you think most people are making smart money decisions good? Yeah, you're absolutely right. So why is it? Why is it, even though the knowledge is there are hundreds of books and hundreds of blogs and hundreds of courses telling people just these 4 things, right? So why do you think it's not changed? Nothing's changed. Financial literacy is sort of, people may have a little more awareness about it, but in terms of how they're spending their money, it's not actually changed their behavior, which is what I'm saying. This isn't about tips and tricks and hacks. If you look a little more deeper and you start building your financial identity, now that really makes a difference. And I think that's the question that we should be asking. How do we build your financial? When we were talking outside earlier, you said you love dancing and you might want to do that professionally. Imagine if I asked you, can you give me some quick tips on how to be a dancer? Right? You would be like, what kind of a question is that? I spent years and years and years learning how to dance, and you want quick tips on how to be a good dancer? And that's how I feel when someone says, can you give me some quick tips on how to be good with money? Yeah. It's a great start, and it's how everybody sort of gets into this. But you should look at it as it's a constant learning. And it's something that is so integral to your life. Like, very soon you're going to make some decisions, right? Can you tell me some decisions you're going to have to make soon? In the next few
college,
university. College? Yeah, okay. Which college, which university, what else?
Careers.
Yeah, careers. What else?
And where you would want to study.
Very good. Where do you want to study? Yeah, where do you want to live? Do you want to continue living with your parents? Do you want to move out? Do you want to get a car? Do you want to get a credit card?
No.
All of these decisions are decisions you're going to have to make, Sue. Can you tell me what's one thing that runs common through all of these decisions? Money, right?
Yeah.
They all have to do with money. And what's the one thing you're not going to learn about in school?
How to be like smart.
Yeah. So now I want you to think about that. Do you think they're being fair to you as a generation? No, we're not. We're being really unfair to you, and that's what I'm trying to solve. That's the problem. I've decided that I want to. That's the hill I want to die on, right? So, and precisely because what you say, every decision you make has to do with money. I'm not just talking about you as a youngster, all of us, right? Whether it's how long we want to work, where do we want to look at retirement, every decision comes down to money.
Yeah.
And just learning quick tips, tricks, and hacks is not going to get us far. We need to start rewiring our brain for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, when I was growing up, we had an envelope, and there was for the term that I grew up with was popot, and popot is a term for the money for the food, basically. And so my mother will have that, and then there will be for other things, emergency and all this stuff. But it was all visible.
So you'll actually have the envelope.
Yeah. So it's visible, and I could see my father giving the cash to my mom. And there was always this interesting debate that they were having about it's not enough, there's inflation and all these things that really were going past my head. But I could see it. Today, they don't see it. So we move so you advocating for parents to teach and for schools to teach, but it's invisible. Okay, so how do we start to make this visible, tangible for children? Because I could clearly see the notes, and I loved to receive those very crisp notes for New Year's and so on. And then my parents opened a savings account at the post office. So that was my first.
You'd actually have to go into
with a little booklet, and then we go, you give the right there, put the stamp. That's it. So that was my experience. She doesn't have that. I have a direct debit that goes into account. She has a card.
Like a magic wand. Just tap, you get what you want.
Yeah, and then she's lucky it never bounced. So So how do you then?
So yeah, that is a real problem, that now it's not tangible anymore. Everything is digital, and you just wave and get what you want. So let's put this into two parts. The first bit is for youngsters. I think physical money is a really good start, especially when they're young, because it's tangible, it's physical, they can actually feel it. But more than that, the concept of pain of paying it, it actually physically hurts you when you're taking money and paying somebody. You don't get the same kind of pain when you're just tapping a card.
I agree.
And that's one of the main things, I think, why it's good to start off kids with actual physical. Let them feel that pain. Let them feel like, wow, I only have this much left, and how much do I get back? And it hurts you. And there's a scientific reason for that, because the same part of your brain that processes pain is the same part of your brain that processes, when you're paying when you're paying money, it's the same part of your brain. So that's why it's an
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an actual physical pain that you're feeling. And that's why if you want a quick hack, right? If you say, this month I really need to save money, this month only use cash. I guarantee you're going to be spending a lot less than if you were using a debit or a credit card, because it hurts more. If it hurts more, we tend to do it less. If you do it less, that means you're saving more. But right now, like your dad said, everything's just digital and one-click pay and, debit card or whatever. You're not feeling the pain. The pain is zero, right? So therefore, you're spending a lot more. There you go. You wanted a quick tip? That's my quick tip. Use cash.
Using cash is also good, because when you have cash, you have to see how much you can spend with that money, because with the card there's whatever how much, so you just pay. But with the cash, you need if you, for example, you have 100 dirhams in cash, so, and you want to get several things throughout that month, you have to make sure that it all stays within
that 100.
Yeah. But also, now, for example, at our school, for before you used to be able to pay with cash, I think at the
All the schools are
cafeteria,
doing that. Now you can only pay with card. Yeah, I know.
so a lot of people use Apple Pay or are
And you know what happens when you use that? You don't even, when you are paying with cash, you actually know how much a sandwich costs, how much that coffee costs, because your brain's processing it. When you're paying by card, you're busy on the phone, you're talking to your friends, you're just tapping your card. You have no actual recollection of how much you're paying. It doesn't register in your head. So maybe another quick tip would be, I said I'm not giving quick tips, but I'm here giving tips. Okay. Whenever you're paying by card, because that's the way things are now, just repeat when it's let's say it's 15 dirhams, say, oh, that's 15 dirhams. Just say it out loud. Just, you continue buying it. Just do whatever you're doing, but just say that once out loud. It registers in your brain, and then you're like, oh, okay, and that building awareness is a big part of it. And I think if you are using your card, that's one thing that you can do. Just say the amount out loud, because most times we have no clue how much we're spending when we're using a card.
We had a recent experience in Spain, in Portugal, with a blackout.
Yes.
So digital transformation is important. The sort of studies and values, and part of what I do is in that space. But that incident reminded us
the importance of cash,
of importance of an alternative way of being able to engage with our society. So when we're trying to raise children that are aware of the alternatives, and to be agile, to be braver, to be sort of smarter about situation, from a financial education perspective, and knowing that the world is moving towards this sort of digital, cashless environment, is there a middle ground, in your view, in terms of engaging with children and young people and parents for the past 7 years on that journey? What are you hearing from parents and children about the transition?
I don't think anyone is thinking about it too much. They've just slipped into the digital age without giving a thought as to should we even continue thinking about physical money and stuff. Everybody, kids as young as 7 and 8 now have debit cards. And so the whole concept of the physical cash isn't there at all. I think it's important. I've said why, just because you're rewiring your brain properly. And for kids, it's great to see that being more tangible. And as Claire said, when you're seeing the 100 dirhams, you know that you have to fit in within that. If it's on a card, you don't know how much that is. That 1,000 dirhams on there, and and you don't actually know. Whereas with cash, it really makes a big difference. So it's a good starting point. But, we live in the world we do, and we have to make,
Percent.
so it's good to build that understanding, but it's also good to make sure that when they are using the digital thing, at least their awareness is up. Like, repeat the cost that you're going to say. Be more aware. When you are tapping, you don't just do it, sort of absentmindedly. Understand what it is you're tapping for and what is the actual amount. So these small, it wouldn't be great for us to say, oh, you have to only use cash, because it's really difficult in today's society to use cash. But if you are more aware of using how to use your card properly and how to use it smartly, then that's the best that we can do.
And why do you think it was important to write this book?
Honestly, the book was for me. It was just a clarification process of whatever I knew. I just needed to put it all down. And writing always helps you clarify your thoughts. It helps you focus on and distill what you're thinking very clearly. Because, you can talk about a concept that you want to start, but until you write it down, it doesn't actually feel real, and you don't actually know what you're talking about. Once you write something down, then you know that, okay, it's clear. I have a framework. I have this. I didn't know I knew so much until I put it down in the book, because it was all in my head, and it was very amorphous. But actually writing it down made it like it crystallized my thoughts. So I actually just wrote the book for myself.
How old were your children when you wrote the book?
They were 12 and 14 at the time.
I was gonna ask that because I was gonna ask if you had like any teenagers or anything that you saw that.
So the reason I started this company, it wasn't to fill a gap in the market, or I found a niche that I wanted. I just wanted my kids, who were 8 and 10 at that time, I wanted them to learn about money. And I thought, it's been a long time since I was in school. I'm sure schools nowadays, with all their innovative curriculum and stuff, modernized curriculum, I'm sure they're teaching this. Until I actually did research, and nobody was teaching it. No matter how much fee you paid, nobody was actually teaching this. A few of them purported to say, oh, it's we do this in math, we're teaching economics. But money and learning how to handle money is very different from math. It's very different from economics, right? I mean, I studied business. I did a master's in business. I've done a master's in finance. It taught me zero about money. It taught me a big fat zero. So, you have a lot of students thinking, oh, because I'm studying finance, or because I'm studying business, I know about money. No, you don't. No, you don't. So, I started this because I wanted them to learn. And there wasn't a course out there that I thought was good enough. So I thought, how hard could it be? I'll study it and I'll teach them. Except for one thing, you can't ever teach your own kids anything. They learn from... I saw with my kids, if I tried to teach them about them, they'd just be like, oh, Mom, do we have to talk about this now? And they'll roll their eyes and give me those deep sighs and, can we just chill? Why are we always talking serious stuff?
I think all children are coming from the same.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But you have to learn not to take it personally, because when I put them to the program and they learn through, my team, they'd come back and tell me stuff like, did you know this? Like, wow, today we learned this. And I'm like, I taught you the same thing. You had zero reaction to that. But now that someone else is teaching you. So I think the thing is, we shouldn't take it personally. The parents, we are too close to our kids. They don't see the value in what we say, because we're constantly telling them things. Claire, clean up your room, do your homework, do this. So be careful about money is just one of the 100 instructions that you're giving them. They don't know how to pay special attention to that. But if you are in a class with your peers, or you are doing a program that's focused only on money, she's going to pay attention, because your brain's telling you, wow, this is important. You need to focus on that. So I did start it off because of my kids, but then I also realized that thousands of other kids could benefit from this. And
they're very generous of you.
It reminds me of COVID, because I remember my mom was saying that when like they were trying to teach us, because like obviously like you would be on Zoom for a bit, and then like the parents kind of had to help you. We didn't want to listen.
Yep.
We wouldn't want to. Like I said,
they were not our teachers.
I put during that 1 year, I homeschooled my kids just for that, but COVID. Oh my goodness, it was the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. I was like, I think our relationship really sort of took a big hit, because I have great patience with teaching other kids, but they're like, can you just pretend that we are not your kids? Because you teach other kids so well and you have so much patience, but you have no patience with us. probably should be saying this on the podcast, but anyway.
No, but no, I have the same
But
experience. I know exactly what.
it's very hard. I'm like, you don't know this. How can you not know this?
Yeah.
But if I was teaching in a class, I'd be a lot more like, oh, okay, let me show you how it works. Somehow that doesn't translate very well with your own kids, and I'm
Doesn't.
not proud of it. But it is.
Yeah, I
it
think
is what
all
it is.
parents face
Yeah.
the same
So
challenge.
I found the easiest way is to get the program up and running, make sure that they attend it, through qualified teachers, or like I said, now we are now building like a behavior changing engine. It's like it's an app that actually gives you all of this, and I think that's really going to change the conversation of financial education, and that's what I want to do. So,
as I was listening to you about language, how to speak to children or teenagers about money, what is that thing that you wish adults understood about teens and money?
I wish they understood that this is a golden window of opportunity that we have to teach them. Once they go off to college, and you're going to spend much less time with them. So this time that we have when they're, till they're from 13 to 18 is a really golden window of opportunity for many reasons. But also one of the main reasons is that at this time, your brain is the most powerful it will ever be. It's making connections. It's building, it's just at this time of your life, your brain is so powerful. It's actually more powerful than it's ever going to be. And whatever you learn now is going to be rewired, is going to be hardwired in your brain. You're not going to forget that easily. So whatever you want to teach them, now is the time to teach them because they learn quicker, they retain it better, and it's just going to stay for long term. So it's really important that we give this that they have this education now. I think that's something that's really important, just with regard to how teen brains develop, and also remember that the prefrontal part of your brain is not yet developed. Right, it's going to develop by the time you're 25, 26, which means right now they don't have a very developed prefrontal cortex. What does that help with? That's your risk taking, your planning, your judgment, which means that we need to be the guardrails for that because they don't have that right now. And that's why a lot of the companies, they're targeting our kids for impulse buying, for spending. I mean, earlier it was only when you went to the shop, or when you went to the malls. Right now, Claire could be in her bed, but if she's on her phone, then you have all of these companies who are trying to sell to her. Every time, 24/7, she's constantly being bombarded with advertising messages.
Is it true?
Well, yeah, your algorithm is definitely tweaked to look at stuff that.
I'm just putting it out.
Yeah. So the point is, we need to teach them how to, you're 13, you must have spent the last, let's say, 10 years in school, right? You're learning a lot. How much, and every company is trying to sell to you, right? Whether it's Adidas or Nike or whatever. How much of training have you had in how to buy?
I don't know, zero.
Zero. How fair is that? Again, I always come down to this. How fair is that? Every single company spending hundreds of millions of dollars tweaking their algorithm how to sell to Claire better. How much of training has Claire had in how to buy? Zero.
So where does Claire go to get this kind of training?
Yeah. So this kind of training is part of what we do with building a financial identity, with the financial education that we're teaching. This is a really, really important bit of it. So it's not just about, how do I save? It's a very important concept that not many people think about is, how do I get my kids to look at these advertising messages critically? And that's a really important part of financial education as well.
So when do I sign you up for these classes? Or when do you sign up yourself? So if she wants to sign up, what does she do?
So we're so one of the problems that we had with the program, the way that we were running it, is for scale, right? We weren't able to scale that much because we didn't do B2C anymore. We were just doing B2B. And it was kind of exclusive. It was just, whichever lucky students happened to be at the schools that we were doing. So that really didn't sit well with me. And I really wanted to get this to scale sustainably and also have a really deep social impact on that. So we are building now an app that's going to, and if you read my book, there's a chapter in it that says, no, there's no app for this, because until very recently, I was shy of tech. And when I say shy of tech in terms, I didn't think that was an effective way to teach kids about money, right? But I realized that it wasn't the tech that was a problem. It was the philosophy behind the tech. Most of the, fintech companies that are out there are teaching kids while they're saying, oh, we're getting them smarter about money. They're just teaching them how to track their spending. Tracking your spending doesn't necessarily mean you're spending better. Just because you know you're spending a lot of money on Starbucks a day doesn't make you think that, oh, I should change that. So that's what I said. I think the problem wasn't in the tech; it wasn't the philosophy behind it. And now we're actually building something that's gonna give it with the right philosophy. It's gonna rewire your mindset. It's habits. It's your mindset. Your behavior, and that's core to what is going to get her to change. With the app should be launched by, I like to say, middle to end of September, and I will be in touch with you. I'll give you free access to it, so you can actually you can see for yourself. And all of these concepts I'm talking about, there are different levels of the app, and each one is only you can't skip levels. You can't be like, oh, I want to learn about investing, because 9 out of 10 teenagers, that's what they want to learn about. But this is scaffolded learning. You cannot go to that unless you build up to that. But once you do, and all of these concepts it's a very comprehensive thing. All of these concepts I'm mentioning today are built into that. So yeah, I'm quite excited, because that is a way that we can scale. That is a way that everybody can have access to this. And then also with that, we're not then limited geographically as well. So
Very cool.
And so basically this app, it like teaches you all about this, but with different levels. So is it like based on the first level will help you with the next one?
Yes, it's scaffolded learning. Yeah, based on that. And it's not like, oh, you need to sit down and give me half an hour every day of your time. It's literally a few minutes every day, 4 times a week. So twice a week we give you the modules, like small micro learning modules, and other 2 times a week we do like a cost tracker. Like the app will ask you, so Claire, how much does that Starbucks cost? And you put in what you guess, and then you Google it, and then you see how close or far you were. You see, because all of this just builds your awareness about costs. A lot of times, we don't know. Most of the kids I know, they don't know how much their fees are. They don't know so we're just trying to build that awareness. And with these 4 touch points a week, each of which takes no more than a few minutes, we're going to rewire your identity. We're going to rewire your brain to think about money in a way that's really different. And it's very interactive. It's sort of like Duolingo, but for money. You know Duolingo?
Yeah.
It's a very sticky app. It's going to stick with you. It's very fun. It's going to be like reaction stickers to what it's swipe, but it's not just mindless swiping. If you're not reflecting, this is not going to work. I always say the app is not magic. The magic is if you give the app will do 90% of the work, though.
Yeah.
I always say this even in my class. I always start the class by saying, I'm going to do 90% of the work, but I need you to do that 10%. If you don't do that 10%, the 90% I do will be quite pointless. And we built the app to sort of deliver the same thing. It's going to do all the heavy lifting, but it needs you to do that just a little bit. That little bit of effort that you put in, I can almost guarantee you that it is going to make a massive difference.
So you use a term that I didn't think I knew before or heard before, financial identity.
Yeah.
So when I leave here and I go and speak to my 10-year-old, what do I tell him okay, you need to build your financial identity.
So what people like to think about is like, oh, I want to learn how to save, right? But what I want to do with building your financial identity is it's not just about, oh, what do I do with the money? I want you to think about, what kind of person do I want to be with the money? I am a saver. I am a budgeter. I'm a person who does not take impulsive decisions. I'm a person who thinks about something before they buy. So we are building your identity. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm teaching you how to think. And that's the big difference. That's a big difference with the way that we run our classes. We don't tell you what to think. We're just giving you the guidelines, and we're telling you how to think, because it doesn't matter what I do. Whatever decision is right for you might be completely wrong for somebody else. And that's why it's called personal finance, right? It's not this one right answer for everybody. So I can't give you the right answer, but I will teach you how to think. I'll teach you what are the things that you need to consider when making that decision. And with this behavior change engine that we're building, it gives you scenarios, because one of the most powerful ways to teach kids is by getting them to advise somebody else. So I teach you something, Claire, right? And then I say, okay, so there's this kid who's doing this. How would you advise them? You would then pull on your learning, whatever I taught you, to give that person advice. And that's a fantastic way to learn, because then you're connecting all the dots. You're actually then articulating that for somebody else. It builds your belief in yourself. And, Paul, that's what I mean by that's how you build your financial identity. You see yourself as someone who's competent with money.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people around my age are a bit older, or maybe younger, I don't know, like tend to buy things based on like if they've seen it online or if like they've seen their friends have
Peer
it,
pressure, absolutely.
which obviously makes you buy more things than which you probably don't need. And sometimes like that just becomes something that you do all the time. Like, I don't know, for example, like maybe your friends are always like getting Starbucks before school. So then you say, okay, I'll also get it, which means you don't need to get it, but just because everyone else is getting it. So
Can I give you one more tip? One more tip. It's like when I say it, it's like if I think the one thing that will definitely help you be richer than everybody else is if you think to yourself, or you need to train yourself not to feel the need to impress anyone.
yeah,
If you are able to build that in, like, I don't need to impress anyone, the amount of money that you're going to save is just insane. And we're talking about kids, but us adults have the same problem, if not worse, maybe 10 times worse. 90% of the things that we do and we buy are to impress somebody, right?
Yeah.
But if we realize that, if you're able to just say, I don't need to impress anybody, and if that becomes part of your financial identity, I can see that you're understanding how that is going to change everything, the way you spend money, the way you save, the way you invest. So it's just these nuggets of information that are dropped to you, and that you're understanding that. And the next time this happens, you'll be like, hang on a second, you don't need to impress anyone with this.
yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you've explained delayed gratification
Yeah, absolutely.
in a different.
Impulse control and delayed gratification are
Delayed
two things.
gratification. You know
but
what
I
delayed
think
gratification is? There are two words: delay, gratification. So you can be happy now, or you can be happier later. Happier later.
it's basically having a little tougher time now, but it's going to pay off in the future. I mean, you just being here on this podcast and doing this whole thing, you're a 13-year-old, right? I'm sure you have much more fun things to do.
Absolutely.
With your Saturday. But the fact that you're doing this now, right? You're going to see the benefits of it in the future. You're probably not going to see it now, but you are going to see so much of it in the future. And that's.
I didn't pay her to say that then.
and it's like, for example,
Let's say he didn't pay me enough to say that.
like maybe you don't buy something now and you save it, but you can get something even better later.
Yeah. And,
Right.
you said this Blueprint podcast is about the frameworks behind what works. I just like to talk about a framework that I developed, but it actually puts everything that I teach into perspective. So it's called the ADEPT framework, ADEPT. And I think everything that we teach, or my whole philosophy behind financial education, sort of is crystallized in this framework. And it fits very well into the fact that you said this podcast is about framework. So the first one is A. A is, I want you to take agency for it. What do I mean by that? Don't wait for somebody else to tell you, okay, we're going to enroll you for this class, or we're going to do this, or now is the time for you. This topic is important enough for you to take agency over. Because if you're waiting for someone else to do this, for, even as a parent, waiting for the schools to start teaching it, or we're waiting for someone else, it's never going to happen. The stars aren't going to align. This topic is too important for us to leave to somebody else. So take agency for the subject. Make sure that I want to learn about this, something I'm interested in. And also remember, being smart about money is going to make every aspect of your life better. Remember the decisions we spoke about? If you make that from a point of view of real money-based, good financial decisions, every decision becomes better, right? So that's A. D is discomfort. Be comfortable with discomfort. And I'm sure that you are. The fact that you're here in a setup with all grown-ups, I can see the discomfort, but I can also see you leaning into it, which is a really, really fantastic thing. Right? So lean into discomfort. Someone once said, everything that you want to achieve is on the other side of pain, on the other side of fear, on the other side of discomfort. So be comfortable with that. Learning about money is going to make you feel stupid at thinking like, oh my God, I didn't know that, or I was doing the wrong thing. Learning anything, right? You like to dance. Wasn't it tough when you started? It was hard, right? But you work through that, and money is kind of the same thing. And if you're too comfortable, that means you're not learning anything. If you are discomfort, if there's a little bit of stress and friction, that means you're learning something. So that's D. E is education. Don't assume that you can just pick this up as you go along. Oh, I'll learn it. Or, everybody else just learns how to deal with money. I'm sure I'll be fine. No, you won't be. Everybody else is making big mistakes and learning from mistakes, which is not a very smart way to learn. It's a smart way to learn if you're, sending, I don't know, spaceships to Mars or something. Then it's great. No one's ever done that before. So you can learn from mistakes. But money, people have been dealing with it for centuries. It's really stupid to say, let me make the same mistakes and learn. So E is just educate yourself. Make sure that you are learning. There's no substitute for that. P is purpose. Remember, the money is just a tool, right? I want you to think about what you want to achieve with your life. And money is just going to be a tool to do that. So don't focus so much about it and get all obsessive about it. Focus more on what do you want to achieve? What do you want your life to stand for? What do you want to be? What do you want to achieve with your life? And I know we don't talk enough to kids about purpose, but I think we should. They only hear about it on their graduation day when someone comes and says, the world is your oyster and, go live out your purpose. But they've never heard that term before. They don't know what it means. They've only been told, I need to get into a good college. I need to get a good job. But why? No one teaches them to think about the bigger reason. And I'd like us to do that. So A, D, E, P. And the last one is the most important, okay? Pay attention. This is T. That's train yourself, think long term. So this is where your dad was talking about delayed gratification. If you can, this is probably the toughest thing to do out of all of the points. Yeah, A, D, E, P, T. T is probably the toughest, but it is, in my opinion, the most important thing. Any decision that you make, train your brain to think long term. It is the one thing that will separate you from everybody else who's making not so smart decisions. Because if you come across a decision and you're not sure what to do, just ask yourself, what will be better for me in the long term? And then that's the right answer. It may not always get you what you want, but it will definitely get you what you need. So if you can stick to this framework and think, training yourself to think long term, I think, the actual mechanics of money, that's super easy. I can teach you in 5 minutes. That's not a problem. But it's this kind of training that is going to take a little more time and a little more energy and a little more constant touch points during the next few months or whenever you do sign up for the program. That's what we aim to establish. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Good.
I like it. It's financial literacy only for people that have money?
No, I think it's probably people who don't have it is because they're not very financially literate in the first place and they've lost it because of that. I don't think there is a special demographic that says, oh, it's more important for you. And I've taught kids of every demographic, kids whose parents are billionaires to kids whose parents are really struggling to send them to school. And I didn't see any difference in terms of this is more important for some kids than the other. I think it's equally important for everybody. And that's why I don't see I see financial literacy as a social justice issue. It is, and I think that's what it is. It's about knowing that you can just deal better with problems, having a good financial identity.
You know what social justice is?
Yeah, Dad's gonna explain. Come on, this is what you do. This is actually your designation and your job. So
I am not disputing it. I'm not disputing it. And the reason why I asked the question about is it what I former professor of finance, my finance professor that failed me twice. I met her many years later, and we had a very good laugh about it. She did a few studies on sort of financial literacy, Professor Daryl Collins, and she came across. One of the findings was that people that have less resources actually have better financial literacy and financial education. Partly because every single day they need to make some binary decisions. Do I send the kids to school?
Opportunity cost. Yeah.
Opportunity cost. Do I send the kids to school or do I put food on the table, for example? So the delayed gratification and all these elements I've already built in on the daily lives. So of course we are sitting in a different setup, but we may have to think about what kind of language do we use to teach.
Absolutely.
And in you developing ADEPT as a methodology, as a framework, has language or linguistic been important for you to be able to come that across, given that you have access to 200 plus nationalities in this country?
So I know, like, people like to think that, in my culture, money is different, or we deal with money differently, or that. But I've dealt with, like you said, kids from all over the world, from all different nationalities, and the basics are the same. You all have the same values. Every culture has the same values with regard to money. The basic tenets of personal finance are not difficult. They don't change because you live in a different country. It's pretty much the same. So I think we shouldn't be confusing ourselves with saying, oh, let me be culturally contextual with this.
Okay.
You don't need to. You don't need to be. These are basic truths, and you don't need to cover them up or burnish them. They just it's irrespective of which culture you come in, which country, even with regard to age or demographic. These are going to be applicable to you no matter what. So we don't think too much about, let's sort of make this culturally appropriate, because the fact that it doesn't need to be. There are much more important things to think about, like how do I actually get them to understand this and to integrate it in their life and to internalize the teaching. That's more important than just being, I think, culturally appropriate.
So yes, it does. And to the question of, social justice, think about it in terms of what can one do so that someone who, by geography, find themselves in a place where they have limited access, and how does that limited access does not stop them from thriving in life? So the social element and the justice element coming together is about creating an opportunity and a pathway for someone to succeed in life, regardless of the challenges that they were born into.
Just making their life better, because most of us who are here, I would like to say everybody actually, we live in the top 10% of wealth. It may not feel like it, but it actually is, just because there's so many people in the bottom 90%. And I think wealth should come with an obligation. It's a privilege.
The privilege is an obligation.
It's a privilege and an obligation. And I'd like people to realize that, and maybe, we should be doing something with that. We're so lucky, right? You were born in a situation that is so highly privileged. But what are we doing with that privilege? We should be doing more. And I think if more people thought like that, this actually would be a better place that we could live in. And that's what I mean by financial literacy being a social justice issue for me.
Do you have a question for us, or do you have more questions?
I have a question.
Please.
How do you get your 13-year-old to do this on a Saturday?
If I say that I have to drag her, I would lie.
I know. I can see that.
If I say that it was just my idea, I would lie. This is how I saw a couple of months ago her interests being in a studio similar to this one, and you can say it in her own words as well. Her interest in making me look better, making me smile when I'm speaking, so I looked at this as, okay, clearly she has an interest in this, and maybe she should be on this side of the camera as well. And it started with an exchange of text messages, because I wasn't here, but the idea was in my head. I was flying, and then I sent a text message. She liked the idea, but what it meant, I think she was not too sure. But eventually, we started it, and for me, is one way to invest time with her. As you were saying,
it's beautiful.
She's in that 13, 18 window where brain needs to be able to see women that have succeeded.
That's very kind.
It's important. She needs to look at different definition of success. And we've had different women that have come, and we have also 3 men that have come. But it's primarily for her to be able to identify what success may look like and what she can sort of create that path. I mean, in your own words, so that, it's not daddy who's saying why you are here on a Saturday morning, but why are you here? You don't know? Surely you have more than I don't know.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Why do you enjoy it? What could be interesting about sitting and listening to a bunch of grown-ups talk? Tell me.
Well, all the people are very different, and everything, like all of the ones that we've done, there's always been a completely different conversation, and just it's interesting to learn about these people who maybe I've known before, but
you never saw them in this life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. Questions? 7 years ago, I'm sure you had a choice when you started this. What keeps you going?
I'd like to preface that with something. 7 years ago, if I knew how hard it was going to be, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
But I think ignorance really helps. You don't know how tough something is going to be, and you just put one foot in front of the other and keep doing it. And now looking back, I'll be like, really, had I known how hard it was going to be, had I known how many hurdles and how many obstacles and how hard this was going to be to bring to fruition, I probably would. If it was any sane-minded person would have said, I'll pass. I was very, very happy in what I was doing. I didn't need this extra stress, but I didn't think too much about it. And that maybe is a strength. I also came from I was not a teacher. I was not an educator. I was nothing to do with the academic field, but that for me, I think it helped because I didn't know what rules not to break. I was just like, yeah, we can teach kids this. Of course I can make it interesting. Of course I can talk to kids about this. Of course we can make it a two-way interaction. And so I didn't follow the path that was followed by every academic before me, who made the whole teaching very academic and very question answer kind, and like a textbook. We made it fun, we made it engaging, we made it relevant, because I didn't know any better. I just thought, how do I get my own? And my kids are my biggest critics, right? So every time I want to create a lesson, I'll be like, how do I get them to get their attention? Because if I can get their attention, I can get everybody else, because I think they're really difficult too. So I guess that they're my biggest critics. So, and that really helps me. They're also my biggest fans, I think, in a way. So and that really helps. But 7 years ago, I probably would have shied away from it. But looking back on it is probably the best thing I've ever done. More not just because of my own kids, but the number of kids I've taught and whose lives I've touched is just that kind of, you don't get that from any job per se. That kind of impact that you can have. And now it's just bugging me because I feel like we're not having enough of impact. But I think that's what this app that we create, I think that's what that's going to solve. So now I'm excited about that. So I really am. And again, I'm going in with, I don't know how to build an app. I don't know the first thing about tech or whatever. But hopefully in the next 2 years, I'll be looking back and say, okay, that was a good idea.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. One thing that you highlighted around social justice and financial literacy, maybe it was at the back of my mind, but I never put these two together.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is a social justice issue. And I'm glad to be part of that journey. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for the masterclass.
I'm sorry if it didn't fit your exact idea of giving you tips and tricks, but I really wanted to do something that was different. Tips and tricks, you can YouTube anybody and anybody could give you tips and tricks, right? You didn't need me to come over. I just wanted to make it different and get you to see it from a different angle or from a different perspective.
So why are you apologizing then?
I know. I'm saying because I saw the questions and I'm thinking, I'm not going to be answering them in the way that they expect it. So
we are here for frameworks.
Great.
So you gave us a framework. Adept. What's the A for?
Analyze.
No, agency.
Agency. A for agency. D for?
I know. Discomfort.
The way you are feeling at the moment.
Agency, discomfort, education, purpose, and the most, forget about everything, long-term thinking, right? Train your brain to think long-term.
So we'll be smarter, richer, and braver.
That is a guaranteed outcome. Especially.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Oh, you're
Very, very grateful for your time.
Yeah, very well.
Thank you for listening to Inside the Blueprint. We hope this conversation gave you something new to think about.
If you enjoyed these episodes, there's more where that came from. Tap on videos to catch other episodes. Each one explores a different part of a bigger picture.
A new episode drops next week, so hit that subscribe button and we'll see you soon.
And until then, keep building, learning, and asking better questions.
Bye.